When you have a lot of cell ranges to deal with, you might find it easier to give them friendly names. For example, you might find it easier to deal with something called the sum of January than deal with the sum of B6 colon B9. But range names have a little quirk, and we're going to look at that also. Well, over here we have the regions that we're selling to, and we have the months January through June. Let's select just the numbers here in the January column and go up to the name box. And you see the name box right now shows B6 because B6 is the first cell we selected. So click in the name box and type January and press enter. And just click anywhere in the worksheet to deselect. Now when we go back up to the name box, click that down arrow, there's January, select it, and January becomes selected. Okay, that's great. Let's do for February. Select down February, click up in the name box, type February, press enter, and again you could deselect, click up here, and now there's January and February. Well, there is an easier way to do this. Let's select from the header of March down through the last number, this whole area. Now up here on the ribbon bar, go over to the Formulas tab, and over here you see we have this group called Defined Names, and click over here, Create from Selection. Now let's move this out of the way. The dialog box says, okay, we'll create names. Where do you want to find the names to apply? Top row is selected by default because it found these names in the top row. Click OK. And again, just deselect. Now when we go up here, we can see, oh, all right, there's April, and here's June. You notice this is in alphabetical order, not in location order. Okay, so now that gives us the range names. Well, how can we use this? Let's go over here into January where we want to calculate the total for January. We'll use the sum function, and we'll try this manually. We'll say equals sum. Open up the parenthesis. Now instead of dragging down, we want to put in January. Now if you know that the range name is called January, you can simply start typing it in, and you may notice that it appears in this little box. Now you could continue typing in January, or you could press the tab key to fill it in, and just press enter, or I'll press control enter to enter it in, and there's the sum. Well, that's great. I'll just press the tab key. Let's do this sort of different way. Again, we'll type in the sum function. Now, maybe you don't remember what all the range names are, and this can very easily happen if you have a lot of range names. Well, we're still in the Formula tab over here, and in this Define Names section, click where it says Use in Formula, and now you can see all the range names, and you can choose February. And again, just press Control Enter, and now you have February. Let me show you a third way to do this. I'll just hit the right arrow key. And for March, let's type equals sum, open up the parenthesis, press the F3 key on your keyboard, and this brings up the Paste Name box. And now just double-click March. And it puts it in. Again, press Control Enter. Well, here's the quirk that range names have, is they are always absolute references. Put your mouse pointer on the autofill dot in the lower right corner of that cell. When your mouse pointer becomes a crosshair, just drag out to the end, and look at what happens. It makes the sum of each of these the sum of March. Well, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense to have the total of April, May, and June the sum of March. So we have to select those and delete those. So if you're going to use range names, you really do have to type in the sum function manually for each one. So whether you find that easier or if you don't find that easier, I leave up to you. But there are times in Excel, especially when you're dealing with large amounts of data, that you really do want to use range names.